The Dogs' deed is done.
What can I say? They were the best. They really stood out. They put it all together when it counts, and that's what the sport's all about.
What a routine.
And that just may do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The GymDog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hello and welcome to the Georgia GymDog Show. I'm Kevin Kopp, joined as always by head coach Jay Clark. We preview the 2010 regional round of the NCAAs. Georgia heading to Columbia, Missouri in a very tough regional here. The number 4 GymDogs competing against number 8 Oregon State, number 15 Missouri, number 25 Minnesota, number 30 Iowa, and number 36, the last team in the field, the University of North Carolina. Coach, when we look at this field just as a whole for a second, can you talk about how much the regional has changed in the dynamic and the way that you have to approach it now from the way that it was 10, 15 years ago? I think it reflects, we talked about parity in the Southeastern Conference. I think you see it again this week in the regional round.
You absolutely do. The parity is so much greater now than it used to be. For a lot of years and years past, the regional meet was sort of a, an also-ran kind of thing where we just kind of went and did it and didn't really get too concerned about it. But these days it's not that way at all, and you can't take anything for granted. And certainly we know Oregon State and Missouri in particular are teams that are capable of scoring in that 196 range, and Oregon State in particular can get close to that 197 range. So it's not a meet that we can mess around at all and expect to get out. And we've got to make sure that we get in there, do our job, and have a solid competition.
Well, looking ahead to traveling to Columbia, Missouri, one GymDog that I know is very excited about the location, just talking about traveling to the Midwest, is Courtney McCool, obviously from Lee's Summit, Missouri, just about 2 hours away from Columbia. So I know she was thrilled when Georgia found out their assignment. She's going to get to compete in front of some family and friends that don't often get to come down to Athens or the Southeast to get to see her. So if one person in particular is going to be excited about where the team is heading, I think it would be her.
Yeah, and I think that there'll be a pretty strong contingency of people from that area that know both she and Sarah Shire, who's on Missouri's team, who's the #1 all-arounder in the nation right now. I think that there'll probably be a pretty strong contingency of people from Gage, which is Al and Armene Fong's gym there in Blue Springs, Missouri, and hopefully there'll be some Georgia people in that group that are pulling for McCool's side of the deal.
But I think it has to give Georgia a bit of confidence. The one time that you did get to look toward the western side of the country and take on UCLA, probably the high point of the season to this point, at least in the regular season, with that 197-9 in that quarter-10th victory over UCLA.
Well, it does, and we understand that the Pac-10 is a very good conference as well, and it's something that I think Pac-10 people and SEC people go back and forth about who they think is the best, but certainly UCLA, Stanford, and Oregon State are at the top of that conference, and Oregon State, I think they made some mistakes in that meet, and had they not done so, would have been able to push the two teams that were at the top a little bit further than they did. So, we know that we're in for a tough meet. We know that this is not a meet that we can just look past and think that we're automatically going to nationals, and we know we've got to get in there and do a good job. And the thing about it, Kevin, is that regardless of who's out there, we really have got to focus on improving our performance from what we had at SECs. We've got the same draw that we had at the Southeastern Conference Championships in terms of the rotation, and our kids just need to get out there and prove that they can hit a meet for 4 events. I mean, it's gotten to the point where they're a little bit frustrated, a little bit angry, because the mistakes happen in different places, and they've got to make sure that they can challenge themselves to stay mentally focused for the entire 24 routines. If we do that, we're going to be fine. If we do that, we're going to be able to compete with anybody in the country and put ourselves in a position where we can compete for a championship. But if we're not able to do that, and we've had some problems doing that in spots this year, if we're not able to do that, then anybody can beat us, as we've seen earlier in this year.
Well, Coach, we've seen the team bounce back from some close, disappointing losses during the regular season, at Utah by 1/2 tenth, at Florida by 1/10. Yeah. But it's a different ball game when you talk about coming off of an SEC championship, finishing third, 1/2 tenth behind Alabama, and watching Florida win the competition. how, when you look at the team, how they've gotten back to practice in the last week plus since that SEC championship, can you start to talk about the way that they've responded to that third-place finish at SECs to get ready for regionals?
Well, you know, normally, Kevin, you come out of a championship meet like that and you have a little bit of a lull, and you know, because there's a lot of emotional energy expended in a competition like that. I haven't seen that this time, and that's a good sign. This team is, like I said, there's a little bit of an edge. There's a little bit. They're a little bit angry right now that they realize they let one get away, and so I think that so far it's been a good time of preparation. The spirit has been good. The competition, the execution in the gym has been really good. They've corrected a lot of things that they needed to correct, and we just keep moving forward. I feel like, you know, we're going to be in the right place when we need to be when we get there.
Well, the regional takes place Saturday, April 10th in Columbia, Missouri. We'll have a full breakdown, rotation by rotation, next week on the Georgia GymDog Show. When we come back, we'll sit down with Georgia assistant coach Julie Clark.
The Georgia GymDog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. The 10-0 Booster Club. The 10-0 Booster Club, the official booster club of the Georgia Gymnastics team. Athens Orthopedic Clinic. Athens Orthopedic Clinic, serving Georgia athletes for over 40 years. And by Alpha Factor. Alpha Factor, the official gymnastics apparel worn by the Gym Dogs.